Hey everybody, Steven here, and for today's video I actually just want to kind of open up a dialogue with other trainers, other fitness professionals, and people that have gone and had personal training and have paid for those services, or gone to like group training like CrossFit or anything like that. And essentially the topic is, should trainers, personal trainers in any capacity, be doing manual manipulation like soft tissue work or massage or chiropractic adjustments on clients? My personal opinion is no, and they shouldn't. You're not trained in that. So to kind of put your hands on your client, for me, is very, very unethical. And I'm not talking about like, hey, I want to do like an assisted stretch on that client or anything like that. I'm talking about like actually doing manual therapy, massage, adjusting people's backs, necks. When you haven't gone to school, you don't have the training to do such. I actually, and I'm in Oklahoma, just to kind of give a reference point, and here it's kind of like the Wild Wild West. So there aren't any laws that I've been able to find, and I haven't seen any of my colleagues that have that I trust that have found any that say, hey, I mean, here's the line, you can't cross this. I mean, what's the scope of practice for a personal trainer? Here, I mean, it's super vague. In the global kind of sense, I think, I mean, for a trainer, you're not supposed to really put your hands on your clients. And I'm not talking about, hey, maybe I helped with a massage stick or a lacrosse ball or something like that. I mean, like physically putting your hands on your clients to mess with their neck, whether that's massage in their traps, shoulders, arms, whatever. And I see it a lot here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I'm at. I've actually left the gym. I was seeing a lot of the trainers that aren't massage therapists and aren't chiropractors, and they just have like a NASM or a ACE or like just a nationally accredited certification to personal train, but they're not massage therapists, they're not those chiropractors, going in and spending 30 minutes massaging their clients or adjusting their clients. And if you want to go that route, I mean, by all means, go through the proper channel, get kind of certified up or go to school. That way you can do that. Otherwise, like I said, and this is just my opinion, that's why I'm asking the community, am I kind of out of line with my thought on you shouldn't do that? Now, I also understand the intent of the trainer isn't to hurt their client. They want to help their client. They're going to do whatever they can to do that. I think this is where you run into this gray area, though, of where does their knowledge end and where do they really need to refer out for whatever the service is. Whether that is the chiropractic adjustment, they need to go to a massage therapist, they need to go to a physical therapist, right? I see a lot of trainers that say, hey, yeah, we're going to do some rehab stuff today and we're going to do this. You're not a physical therapist. And I know that's can seem like me being like almost nitpicky with it, but verbiage with how you're describing what you're doing with the client, I think it's very, very important. Because you're not a physical therapist and you're saying that you're doing rehab, you could run into legal trouble. Now, flip side of that is just, what's the likelihood that your client is honestly going to sue you? Because you've most likely built some type of relationship with them. Sometimes you're training even friends, right? It's slim, but it is still there. You can seriously hurt, and I've seen people, they've hurt their clients, and then tried to blame it on something else, but they've hurt their clients, saying that, hey, yeah, we're doing this and we're doing that, and they have a decent understanding of maybe soft tissue stuff, but to go in there and to really like dig in on somebody when you really have no idea what you're doing on the level that it takes in order to provide that service. Dangerous game you're playing. Like I said, I don't think your intent is to hurt anybody, but I think if you do, right, that's 100% on you, right? And now the person can legally come after you, right? And everybody, I mean, trainers are supposed to have, I have my own liability insurance for my business because I'm a freelance trainer. If you work for a company and you're like at Lifetime Gym or something like that, like they have their insurance that's going to cover you and all that, but still you don't want to, like the last thing you want to do is hurt a client. You want to get certified, trained up, go to therapy school, whether you're going to physical therapy school or you're going to be a massage therapist, or go to chiropractic school if you want to do that, right? There is a very large amount of melding with all of these different practices now. I mean, I go to the chiropractors I trust here that their knowledge is on par or almost exceeds a lot of the physical therapists that I've gone to, but their list of certifications is like a laundry list. They've put in the work and the time to get all the different certifications that culminate in this practice that they've wanted to build, where they can do the adjustment, give the corrective exercise, and then send them on their way. But even them, I haven't met anybody that I go to personally that's a chiropractor that says, hey, we're going to go do physical therapy after this. They understand the notion of a scope of practice. So when they're done, they say, hey, we're going to go do, I'm going to show you your correctives. Or I'm a medical exercise professional. I say post-rehab. I take up after you leave physical therapy. I can't see you when you're in acute state. I tell anybody that. If you're in acute pain, do not come to me. Go somewhere else. But with post-rehab, I'm very, very specific with what I can and cannot do for you as the client when you come to me. You're not a patient. You're a client. And that's the other thing, too. I mean, if you're the chiropractor, that's not a client, that's their patient. Doctor, that's their patient. Physical therapist, that's their patient. You come to a trainer, you're a client, right? It's a different thing there. So, like I said, I really want to open up the dialogue, though, with other trainers. Like, where do you think that line is with what you can and cannot do? I've talked about it in a video before where I want to always encourage, like, it doesn't make you look bad if you're like, hey, I can't do that, but I know somebody, right? I mean, you should always be networking if you're in the fitness industry, especially if you're a freelance trainer like myself and a lot of other people. I'm always going to be networking and trying to find good people that I can refer out to, and then hopefully you get referrals back from also. So I send people over to the chiropractor that I see. I have constant communication with him. He sends me information like, hey, this is going on with your client. These are things to work on. This is what I found with my muscle testing. I've personally just done the DNS, Dynamic Neuromuscular Stabilization course. So I'm getting into light activation cues and testing cues with my hands, but I'm going through the proper channels to make sure that I get that testing. But if it comes down to it, I cannot diagnose. I cannot tell you this is exactly what you have. With the medical exercise stuff, we do a ton of different testing. Half of it I'm uncomfortable with doing because I want a firm grasp of that, so that comes with more and more shadowing. But the other half of the tests I'm comfortable with doing because it doesn't require anything on my part in terms of I have to put my hands on the person to move things and test and stuff like that. I send them somewhere else. I send them to my chiropractor. He does all of that, and then send him my way, right? Send him back to me, tell me what's going on, and then I can work from that angle. Same thing with the physical therapist that I communicate with, where they're sending me referrals, or I'm sending somebody like, hey, this client isn't improving in this area. Can you help them out? Or like, I'm gonna come watch and get him more information from you as to what's going on with them. So I want to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think it's something that trainers should do and can do, right? Or are you on the opposite side of that? That's something that's not within their scope of practice. I'm curious also as to how many people have defined what their scope of practice is. right? I think that's one thing that trainers don't really do that much of. They just say like, I help anybody, right? There's a lot of people I don't help, right? Like I said, if you're in an acute state, can't help you, right? You need to go to a physical therapist, to a chiropractor, right? If you're wanting super heavy, intense, sports specific stuff, that is not my scope of practice. I'm not trained to do that. I help younger kids that play sports for overall like global movement patterns to help improve what they do with that, and now incorporating some of the DNS stuff, a lot of the MoveNat stuff that I do. They'll actually come to me for post rehab reasons, right? They've sprained their ankles, they're out of the acute state, and then they're going to need me to kind of get them a little bit stronger in the areas that are a weak point for them. I'll do that, but like I said, there are certain areas. But if you're like high school, like I'm coming to you for football, I'm not your guy, right? I can tweak your movement things, but if you're like, I want you to make me, this is going to replace basically my football training, no, I'm not your guy. I can add to what you're doing, but I can't do that, right? So I have spent time kind of molding and figuring out what my personal scope of practice is. In the more global sense, I think trainers need to understand what just as a trainer, right? What is the scope of practice of just personal trainers in general? And on the flip side of that, like how does that change with experience also, right? I mean, if you're a couple years in, and I know a lot of younger trainers, not younger, but as far in terms of how long they've been doing this, they've only been doing it like 3 to 5 years. I'm coming up on a decade in a handful of months. I get my like my intro card, right? You put that decade in and like, all right, I got through like chapter 1, right? There's tons of chapters in this book. I'm just graduating that first level, but I know a lot of trainers that have only been doing it 3, 4, 5 years, still doing the same stuff. Don't go to workshops, don't go to certifications, don't put in the time and the effort, and then all of a sudden decide, hey, I'm going to start doing physical manipulation on my clients and doing soft tissue work, and I'm going to adjust their backs. I know trainers that don't even have certifications, right? They're just like, hey, I'm a personal trainer now, and I'm going to help people. I love the enthusiasm behind that, but if you're not going to put the time and effort into improving your skill with that, or if you're just only going to watch YouTube videos, no offense to YouTube because I put my content on there, but if you're only going to use that, right, I'm going to only do that and maybe read online articles. You got to put in the time to go to the workshops in person. You got to put in time to go find and shadow somebody and find a mentor. And I found a handful that I go to that I trust, and we've had these same conversations. And for some reason in the fitness community, it's very, very tight-lipped. Like, it's kind of an understood thing. Like, if somebody's doing something that you don't approve of with their clients, you just turn away. I mean, if you want to bring it to them up in private, maybe, and I've had to a couple times with some people, that's fine, but you don't like stop the session. But sometimes you see stuff and you just like, geez, right? Like, you want to run over there and be like, what are you doing? Like, you're gonna hurt this person, right? And it's not their intent at all. It's just they don't have the knowledge of what's going on. I also think like because of that, like people are paying a lot of money to go to a personal trainer. You need to be giving them that value with the corrections to their form, right? Taking everything that they're doing to the next level. That's why they've hired you, not just put them through a workout, right? They've come to you to learn a skill, which is proper form, movement patterns, not only just within the gym, because a lot of times these end up being isolated movements, right? Which is why I love like MoveNat, natural movement. I love parkour, I'm certified in that. I love the DNS stuff that I just started getting really, really heavy into, taking that, teaching the skill of that, because it's transferable, right? I can take these movement patterns and you're most likely going to do them at home, right? And you're going to see that improvement there. Where if I'm doing something just in a very, very tight, isolated way, where's the transfer where it's a skill other than maybe, obviously, people do want weight loss and all these other things, but long term you have to be looking at, I'm teaching them a skill. So make sure you're putting in the effort to actually mold that and shape that and teach them something. They're seeking you out for your knowledge, right? And I guess that's where it really, really gets me is they're paying you for your knowledge, and if you're not putting in the time and the effort to go do these things, but you're gonna sit at home and binge watch Netflix and goof off with your friends or go get beers and all that other stuff, you're doing a disservice to your clients. I'm not saying don't go have fun and all of that, but if this is truly your passion, you're gonna put a lot of effort into it. I just see so many trainers that aren't. They're kind of side job trainers, which if you want to earn a little extra money, I understand that, but don't basically shit on the efforts that a lot of other people are putting into their craft. I mean, I always tell people when I'm talking about this subject to other people, like, dude, this is how I make a living and this is my passion, and I try to do a lot of fun things with my clients in terms of movement, but I also take it very, very seriously with what we're doing and what I'm trying to teach them. So I'm gonna end this video now before I keep going and going and going. I wanna hear from you guys. I wanna hear from the community, your thoughts, counterpoints to it, right? Anything. Like, I just wanna get the conversation started so that we can start just getting it out in the open, because a lot of times trainers, like I said, we just don't say anything. It's seen as negative or anything like that, and I don't want to crap on anybody's if they're training that way or anything like that. But on the flip side of that conversation, I want to bring it to their attention, like just the understanding and awareness of what they're doing when they decide to adjust or do soft tissue work or anything like that with their hands. Manual manipulation, right? And what that might mean long term for them, for the client, if they hurt them, all those other things. So comment below. Let me hear from you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more of my other videos where I cover MoveNat, post-rehab stuff, hopefully getting into DNS stuff here in the next couple months as I get a better, well-rounded grasp of everything. Videos with a lot of the trainers that I trust around this area that are highly knowledgeable. And then hit the like button for me as well if you've liked this video. Thanks for watching, guys. And gals. Guys and gals.